Do you have any those experience before in your life about the evacuation duty like that and rush like that for your duty service?
Well, the kind of training I have as a pilot, you kind of expect things to happen kind of quickly, and you have to respond quickly. Aircraft don't always stay together all the time, so you have to respond to those kind of emergencies. So we were trained to respond to things as they happened, and it was a very intense time. It was a very work intensive time, because it was things were happening, different things were happening so frequently that multitasking was the only way you could function. And we multitasked. I mean, we took refugees off of boats, and you drop these individuals into a certain area to keep them safe, and the ship's company would check to see how they were doing. And as you're doing that, you're taking a 2-year-old child and handing it off to one of the ship's company along with its parents. There's a helicopter landing, so you have to take care of the helicopter, get everybody out of that. A couple of helicopters were refueled, and they decided to go back into the Saigon area and pick up more people. But most of them we turned perpendicular to the flight deck, shoved them over the side.
And after the couple days, I believe it's like 2 days in the Consan Island. Okay, when and how did you get the order? Okay, they start to move from there to the Philippines.
When I get to the Consan, as I remember, the evenings of April 30. That's the evening I arrived to Consan. And I also tell you a little bit of a story, because I come to Consan. On the way from Vũng Tàu to Consan, I pick up a lot of Vietnamese Navy servicemen, and most of them petty officer.
How many total?
And their family, totally about 300.
300.
Nearly 300. And then I also have a good news for me. That I have a call from other ship. The flagship called me, say that my family is own flagship. I'm very surprised. I don't know why they could be there, but I will tell you later why they be there. I did not know until I get in touch with them. And when I came to Consan, I transfer many of my men to another ship, so they come back to Vũng Tàu. Because before that, I promised to my men, if anybody like to go with me, to go to a foreign country, a free country, stand one side. Somebody, if you like to come back to Saigon, to Vietnam with your family, stand another side, and then I will take the name, and I will get the some means for you to come back to the shore. But I could not find any boat at that time, because I see there's thousands of boats come out in the afternoon, and then many persons on that boat they get on the merchant ship, the rescue ship, and I think that I could find some boat to put my men in there, but finally I don't know why this disappeared. I look at my radar at night, I couldn't see any person. So when I hear, I get a message from the Admiral Min, tell us to gather at the Consan Island so we could go together. But I don't know where to go together. I don't know where we will go. He did not say. I think that I could trust him, so I bring my ship over there. And in the next morning, at 9:30, around 9:30, all the ships start to go to Philippines.
Okay, now I will believe it. I was on one of the 30, the Navy ship, on the road to freedom in the Philippines. Now you was on a destroyer USS Kurt. You escort them from the Vietnam and from the Consan Island to the Philippines?
Yes.
Side by side?
Yes. On the evening of the 30th, we had a member of the Blue Ridge crew come aboard, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, and my skipper, Captain Jacobs, and this person got together. He announced to the wardroom, to the officer corps, what we were going to do, and we steamed all night long to get to Con Son Island. And we got there pretty much as the sun came up, just before the sun came up. And we had orders to gather the South Vietnamese fleet, and but no orders beyond that. So we were there in the morning of the 1st of May, and later orders came to gather the fleet with the intention of taking them to the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that drew our attention immediately while we were there when the sun came up is one of the South Vietnamese LSTs had been, I believe, being placed in dry dock at the time because the front hatch wasn't closing all the way and it was leaking. So they were going to fix that ship before they used it in whatever mission it was assigned to. Looking for ships to move people out of South Vietnam, the ship was made ready to get underway, leaky bow or no leaky bow, and it went to sea. There were several hundred people on that ship, and it was sinking. The bow would not close enough to keep the water from rushing in. So our attention was directed toward that ship hooking up with what used to be a U.S. Coast Guard destroyer, a coastal ship, which one of the larger ships, and I'm not sure it was 3, but it was.
Yeah, it have. As I remember, it have number 1, 2, and 3, and another one at the number 7. I think that's
it was, but it was one of that group of ships, and so they transferred everybody off of that LST, put them on the larger ship that actually had very few refugees on it at all at the time. So they got everybody over that, and then we moved the LST off to the side and we sank it with our gun.
I saw that. Yeah. I saw that, you know, and before now this is a very, very special moment during that evacuation. Before the Vietnamese ship, about 30 of them, go into the Philippine sea zone. There's something happened, and then you've been assigned to transfer to the Vietnamese ship to take over. Okay, for instance, one of the officers came over the SQ-14. Can you tell us about a little bit that story when you get the assignment, go to take over the Vietnamese ship?
The USS Kirk was the primary source of United States Navy officers to join the South Vietnamese fleet when it was required that the ships come into the Philippines under the American flag. The politics in it really wasn't important. What was important was that the refugees be allowed to continue their transit across to the Philippines so that everybody was safe. To do this, again, it had to be under an American flag, so we had to put an American officer aboard ships. I was assigned with nine total officers, with 8 other officers to go aboard ship, and I went aboard the skipper ship, HQ-14, and I was met by a lieutenant there, which is you, and I was brought into the crew, and I spent at least 4 days aboard the ship while we sailed to the Philippines.
That moment is a very critical moment for your life, for your career in the Navy man. That also the last commander of the Vietnamese ship before you second him 35 years ago and you transfer the ship to him. What is your everything in your mind in that moment?
At that time, the first things, I think they're very sad.